Well, hello there, boys, girls, in-betweeners. How you doing? RedGam here, back with another video on JURI. Surprise, surprise! I know you guys are shocked, right? So I'm here to basically answer some questions that I've been asked. I've been getting a lot of questions on both Twitter and YouTube, just asking me to either give my thoughts on JURI in Season 2 or show off some of the changes that she has, some of the new tech, things like that. And I did think about making a tech video. I was actually planning on doing a tech video tonight, but I'm making this one instead. Why? Because I decided it wasn't really worth it. Now, there's a few reasons for this, and a lot of it comes down to the fact that the changes that they've given her, some of them are good, some of them are bad, which I'll get into in a moment. But a lot of it, and I've spent probably, full disclosure, I've spent probably about 4 hours now in the lab with JURI since Season 2 came out, just really trying my best to really see what is available for her right now, what's changed, what new options have opened up, things like that. And I've already seen some combo videos on the web that people from Korea have posted, things like that, showing off some very sweet swag combos that look very impressive and yield some really good damage, actually. But the problem with those is that they're mostly positional, situational, and they negatively affect damage scaling. So before I go any further, you might ask yourself, what is damage scaling? A lot of you will already know this, but some of you won't. And for the people who don't know what damage scaling is a mechanic in Street Fighter V, it's in every Street Fighter for a while now actually, where basically it works on the fundamental rule of if you do a combo, and in each hit of that combo, the first hit will obviously do 100% damage of what it's supposed to do. The second hit will also do 100% damage of what it's supposed to do. But the third hit will only do 80% damage of what it's supposed to do. The fourth hit will only do 70, the fifth hit will only do 60, and it keeps scaling down as the combo goes on longer, down to 30%. It caps out at 30%. The reason for this is obviously so you don't get hit with a combo and it just burns through your life so fast you die and you don't even know what happened. Or you just die from a single combo, things like that. So damage scaling is a mechanic that the longer the combo goes on for, the less damage it will do as it continues. Which is a good mechanic. The only exception to that rule is that supers will never scale to less than 50%. So that's basically how damage scaling works. Now if you think about it, fundamentally, if you're doing a combo and you know that the longer it goes on, the less damage it's going to do, you want to front load that combo with a lot of damage. You want to use your big heavy hits in the start of that combo, and it becomes less of a concern further down the road because it's doing less damage regardless. But you want those big hits to be doing as much damage as you can, and that'll go into what I'm talking about a little bit later. But that's basically the main reasons: the position, the situation, and the damage scaling. Now, understand, I could make a combo video, I could make a Season 2 kind of overview video, which you can do, and it would probably get a lot of hits. So I'm actually screwing myself over a little bit here, but I want to give you guys content that you can use. I want to give you things that are practical. I don't want to give you combo videos that look really impressive, but are hard to pull off and are very situational. So that's really the reason I've decided to go with this kind of format instead of just an overview of what I think and basically how I think the JURI's turned out, things like that. Now keep in mind, I am definitely planning, I've already said this a few times, but I am very much planning to do a quote-unquote how to play JURI video. I've been planning to do it for a while, and I wanted to do it after Season 2 dropped. Now, this video will not only cover the basic strategy of how to use JURI, what her best tools are, things like that, but it will also cover any tech that's been uncovered in Season 2 and be worked into that as well. So all that important juicy stuff will still be there, but it'll be practical stuff. It won't be the flashy stuff, which is really hard to pull off and only works if you're at a certain height or a certain distance, things like that. Alright, so for those of you who saw my JURI Season 2 breakdown video, obviously we covered a lot of things in there, and a lot of them sound very positive. So I'm going to go over what I don't like and then what I do like. Now keep in mind that none of the changes that JURI has had have been strictly nerfs. Even the fireball change that she had to the distance of the fireball is less of a nerf, as it more is just like a change in the way you use it now. Now it's more of a setup tool than it is actually a projectile tool that it was in the first season. So these are all, like I said, everything is positive. It's just that what's changed I may like less for some reasons than other reasons, and these are just my opinions. Obviously, I'm not the best JURI player in the world. That's probably II or maybe Infiltration, depending on whether he's playing her right now or not. So my word is not gospel, these are just my opinions. So first and foremost, the medium punch pushback that we talked about in the last video, we said that the pushback on that move has been reduced, it will combo into itself, is not true, unfortunately. Whoever reported that for the patch that came out essentially was either misinformed or that particular feature was removed from the final build, because medium punch still has the same amount of pushback that it had before, which means it does not combo into itself. You have to walk a little bit between each hit to be able to get it to work, and then it doesn't combo. Now, one of the buffs that she did get was that standing medium punch will now link into standing medium kick. Now, link, again, I'll cover this very quickly if you don't know. Normal combos are just cancels where one move will finish before it's supposed to finish, so it can start into another one. Links are very specific timing that you have to finish the move, then start the next one at the right time in order for it to combo. So standing medium punch does link into standing medium kick, but the cancel window after that, so you have to cancel off the first hit if you want to do a special move off the medium kick, is very tight. It's a very small window. I can't tell you exactly how many frames it is, but it might be 3 or 4 frames. It's very small, and the damage bonus that you get is negligible depending on your combo. So what I'm saying is essentially if you're going to do that in like a big Sweetie Sword combo like we talked about before, there are easier ways you can do that combo which will also net you more damage than using standing medium punch into standing medium kick. They did buff the recovery on the standing heavy punch, so it will now link into standing light kick. But the problem with that is that it's really just there as kind of a hit confirm tool from what I can see. I haven't really found much for practical use outside of that. And if you use it early in a combo, it is going to hurt your damage scaling for reasons that we talked about before. So again, I can't really see too much of a reason to use it because frankly, there are still easier confirms that you can do, especially like using your back heavy kick instead of using standing heavy punch into standing light kick. Now, JURI did receive a buff to the distance that her air throw works from, which is good, but unfortunately it doesn't really seem to make a huge amount of difference from what I've seen. I was really hoping that by buffing the distance that her, basically the hitbox, or the hurtbox, whatever you would call it, hitbox really, don't call it hurtbox, for the air throw, I was hoping that it would allow her to beat a lot of moves that do beat the air throw in the air, essentially, because having an air throw is great, but it loses to a lot of things, especially like things like Laura's booty, her jumping heavy kick, Ryu's jumping medium punch, Bice's jumping heavy punch. These were all things that just beat it clear in the air, and I was really hoping that it would now allow her to give her a bit more dominance against those characters, and it just doesn't. It still works the same way it did before, which means it still loses to those moves, which is a little bit disappointing more than anything else. Alright, those are the things that I don't necessarily like about her changes, or things that I think could have been better, is probably a better way to put it. But let's get to the things that I do like, things that are improvements for JURI that I do like and do think improve her character in some ways small regards, some ways very big regards. So let's talk about those. First one being the standing medium punch that I was just trashing before. It actually has a reduced hurt box on it as well, making it basically a better frame trap. It means that it's harder to hit her out of it, so that's nice to have as well. Also, from all the testing that I've been doing, essentially standing medium kick is now the best poke that she has by far. It's been buffed in a lot of really small ways, which just add up to it being a really excellent button for her to use. Now, aside from the fact that it is special cancelable if you want to try and go off that first hit, it's got a better hitbox as well. It comes out faster. It's just good. That's really all there is to it. It's basically the button that you should be using most of the time in footsies. A very small tweak is that medium wheel kick will now combo off of back heavy kick for a little bit more damage if you're comboing into super. It's a very small buff. I think it adds up to about an extra 20 or so damage. It's virtually nothing, but it's just one of those things where I was always kind of confused as to why it just didn't fucking work in the first place. I felt it was like something basic, which I felt should have worked instead of having to use light version instead. Now let's get into the really good stuff. EX wheel kick. Alright, the Roidan Satsu, if you want to call it that. I just like calling it the wheel kick. It now has total projectile invincibility. I was channeling Wesker there. Total global saturation. It's glorious. I've tested it extensively and you just cannot hit her out of it with a fireball no matter how late you do it. It is glorious. So essentially, if anyone's trying to get JURI with, either if they're throwing out fireballs from mid-range, which is kind of stupid, which we'll get into in a moment, or if they're just trying to do like a knockdown and then do a meaty fireball that you have to block after you get up, she now has the perfect tool to just say fuck you to that, throw that out, it's safe on block, it's combos on hit, it's just glorious. It's a really good addition and I do like that very much. Now the other part of a total fireball shutdown game is that the charged V skill, the level 2 V skill, is now almost completely invincible as well. It is so much better than before, it is ridiculous. The only way you can hit her out of it is if you try to do the V skill as the fireball is practically on top of you. If it is directly in front of her face, she'll be knocked out of startup, but at any other time, she can now do a fireball. It doesn't matter how soon, how late, she just passes straight through it, doesn't give a fuck. And it's great. I love it because one of the things that really drew me to JURI in Street Fighter 4 is that JURI was a character who took tools away from other characters. She took tools away in the sense that if you had a fireball, she took that away with her dive kicks. If you had a vortex, she took that away with her EX counter, things like that. So to get that back for her now, finally, makes me very happy actually, because I really dislike characters who spam fireballs. I'm sure a lot of you do, or just characters who just use them recklessly. You use them like knowing that JURI can't punish them, and now JURI has two different tools to punish them, and they're both fucking fantastic. So in Season 2, your opponent at any given time should be fucking terrified to throw a fireball at you, because they're either going to eat a wheel kick or a level 2 V-skill. And speaking of which, the charge time on the V-skill is down as well now, so she doesn't have to spend as long charging it. She has to spend roughly, I haven't timed it exactly, but it's roughly around half a second, maybe a little bit more. So it's definitely down from where it was before, which is, again, very nice. So I like that little addition. So basically what you can do is you can charge up a V-skill, they throw a fireball, you knock them down, you charge up another one while they're trying to get back up, and repeat the process. And lastly, her V-trigger combos are just better. One of the big gripes that I had in Season 1, and one of the reasons that I didn't bother to learn how to use a feng shui engine until very late in the game, and even then I wasn't very good at it, I'm still not very good at it, is because I felt that her V-trigger just wasn't worth the meter. You can use that meter obviously for V-reversals to get people off you, which is obviously always a good answer to have at any given time, and to take away that option in exchange for something which didn't really, to my mind, deal out very good damage for what you were spending was just a risk not worth taking. But now, basically with the way that they've improved her fireball, she can definitely get better damage off of her V-skill. It's not going to be anything like what Balrog gets when he does his V-skill, obviously. Sorry, his V-trigger, I should say. I've been saying V-skill. When he uses his V-trigger, but it's still very good. I've been messing around with it. You can do some really crazy stuff now. You can do a light fireball into heavy kick fireball, into another heavy kick fireball, into medium kick fireball, which is obviously pretty flashy and actually does good damage as well. Or if you have a V-skill like stored up, you can do the light fireball into heavy fireball, into medium fireball, into V-skill. And they'll both get you pretty good damage. And again, this is, you can basically, if you do a full combo with like a heavy jump in and then a couple buttons, then V-trigger cancel, a couple more buttons, into your fireball link at the end, you can get some good damage. You can get better damage than you would with a raw super. So that's really impressive. And even better, she actually has corner setups now. So she has corner setups where if you want to spend a bar, you can get close to 400 damage. So that's really good. So I'm much more excited about trying to learn her V-trigger now, basically, because the reward is there for the resource that you're spending, essentially. So overall, I feel like she's not overpowered. I think that a lot of these changes that have been made to her are very minor changes. And so there are characters that people are already saying are overpowered. People are saying that Urian's overpowered, that Laura's overpowered, that Bison's overpowered. I don't think that's the case with JURI. I think that Capcom have had a really bad track record with buffing JURI in the past. In Street Fighter 4, they buffed her in every single iteration of the game, from Super onto Arcade Edition, from Arcade Edition onto Ultra, and it was only finally when they got to Ultra that she was actually a fairly decent character, so they've had to like buff her a lot in the past. And here, I don't think it's a question of not having buffed her enough. They've given her some good buffs and some solid tools, and I do like that. But I don't by any means think that she's overpowered right now. I think that she's just good. She's what she should have been at the start. This is how she should have come out of the gates in Season 1. She shouldn't have come out with tools that weren't invincible to fireballs completely. She shouldn't have come out with a V-skill that was essentially just terrible. In most ways, it was just terrible. Everyone agreed that it was probably the worst V-skill in the game. So things like that. So to have these buffs now, basically, I think put her where she should have been from the get-go. Also, the other thing that I would say as well is that with some of the changes that they've made to the way that her inputs work and her combos work, things like that, I think that she feels a lot more solid in footsies. You're not getting accidental DPs. You've got some better buttons in your footsies. She has a much stronger neutral game, I think, now than she had before, which is also a really good bonus, especially when you are playing against those Ryu-type characters who just live for the neutral game. But going back to what I was saying earlier, I think that barring any amazing tech that gets discovered for her in the coming weeks, I think that what she is the definite improvement on where she was previously, but it's too early to say where she'll fall in the tiers. I don't think she'll be garbage tier anymore. I think it's pretty good to say. I think it feels nice to say it. I'm pretty confident saying she'll probably be around mid-tier, maybe a little bit mid-upper tier. I don't think she's going to be that S-rank god tier that we've seen with Chun-Li and Mika and other characters in the past. I think she'll just be solid, which is fine. I'm okay with that. So let's take some time, let's see how it goes, but there are positive things definitely in future. Just don't expect too much at this stage. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed as always. Hope it was informative. Hope that I didn't piss you off too much with all my thoughts and comments. I will be streaming this weekend-ish, maybe Friday, maybe Saturday, I don't know. Follow me on Twitter, there's a link below. I actually had the wrong link in my videos for like 2 months, which is kind of dumb of me, a little bit retarded, I guess. So there's a new one there now, and it actually works, so check that out if you like the Twitters. And I'll definitely post on there when I'm planning to jump into online and do some online matches with Season 2 JURI, using the Christmas costume, the Christmas stage, and all that festive fun stuff in the lead up to Christmas and wrapping up Seasons Beatings 2016. Until then, kisses, hugs, belly rubs. I will see all of you very soon.